What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Top 10 Tuesdays. I'm going to be taking a look at the top 10 most unnecessary wrestling concepts and that are still being either used or have been used in the past 5 to 10 years. Now, there are 10 necessary, unnecessary concepts or stupid concepts on paper, but at the same time, it does not mean that we haven't seen good matches from these concepts. You can, there have been a lot of instances in wrestling where, chicken salad was made out of chicken shit. So let's get right to it. Number 10 goes to the steel cage match. This is probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest gimmick match ever. And it used to be a match to end a feud. Used to be a cage that would be on a ring and it would have a roof on top. And that was, a way to settle a feud, and you would have, pinfall and submission to end the match. But then it kind of evolved into becoming, pretty much, a match that isn't really something that you would look forward to. We have seen good matches, in a steel cage, but they're a few and far between. Usually, nowadays, it's something to use on an episode of Raw or an episode of SmackDown rather than be on a pay per view and be like this big match that you would look forward to. So, and not just that, but the idea of you would have this blood feud and it would end because some guy escaped, escape your clutches and just it's pretty much like a race to the finish line, and it's just it's not as brutal of a gimmick match as it needs to be or as it used to be. So and especially now since the Hell in a Cell is now around, it's like, yeah, okay, you've got that match. Why should we settle for something less? Why should we settle for something that's a fraction of what a Hell in a Cell match is, or like a half a cell basically. So the cage matches, I would put that at number 10. Number 9 is the submission match. Now, what's the difference between this and an I Quit match? Nothing. There's no reason to have a submission match because the I Quit match already exists. So, it just, might as well call it an I Quit match. Because, oh no, the I Quit match, you would have a microphone and then you would ask the opponent over and over again whether they quit or not. It's the same thing. You either have one or the other. So I would put these two in number 9. I would put submission match and the I Quit match in number 9 because you got to have at least one. Okay, you gotta either pick one or the other. I would personally go for the I Quit match because the I Quit match actually makes sense because a person can quit before even getting hit by something. Like Cena versus JBL, where Cena was about to hit JBL with the exhaust pipe of JBL's limo, and JBL's like, I quit, and that makes sense. Cena trying to to pretty much end Batista's career by going with the attitude adjustment off one of the cars in Over the Limit 2010, and then Batista pretty much quitting right before getting put through the stage. It makes sense. So I would rather go for an I Quit match rather than a submission match. Number 8 would go to a TLC. Now, as much as I enjoy the matches, and I always look forward to the TLC match, what's the difference between a TLC match and a ladder match? Like, is so in a ladder match you're not allowed to use anything but the ladder. In a TLC match you're not allowed to use anything but tables, ladders, and chairs. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a name for the sake of a name. It's just the whole reason for that was because you had Edge, Christian, and the Edge, Christian, Dudley's, and the Hardys. Edge and Christian used the chairs. The Hardys used the ladders, and the Dudleys used the tables. that makes sense for that feud. But anytime you would have a TLC match and it would not have any of those guys in the match, it just seems unneeded, unnecessary, basically. You can have a ladder match, and hey, we've seen TLC matches that would end in pinfall or submission. So why not just make that into a no DQ match? There's just there's no reason for that. Number 7 goes to the street fight. What's the difference between a street fight and a falls count anywhere match? Except for the fact that falls count anywhere match, you can pin a guy anywhere in the arena. So why settle for something less in a street fight? I think it should be the other way around. The idea of being called a street fight and it only being contested in the ring sounds stupid. Because when I first heard of a street fight, I thought, okay, they can go to the streets and actually wrestle there, and it ending at some block or something like that. But no, it always ended in the ring. So what's the point of having that? Plus, you have a no DQ match. You have a no holds barred match. What's the difference between all of that? And I remember one of the stupidest things that WWE ever did was they had viewers' choice, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins, and the fans had a choice to choose whether they wanted a street fight, a no DQ, or a falls count anywhere match. What's the difference? It's so stupid. It's absolutely stupid. You shouldn't. You should have just a falls count anywhere match, and you shouldn't sell for less, because it's all about evolution. You're always evolving. When you go forward, you shouldn't go. You should never go backwards. That's like WWE being like, hey, just for the sake of it, let's have Raw in in a gymnasium, or let's have WrestleMania in a smaller city. No, they always go forward. So as far as wrestling concepts go, they should do the same. Number 6 goes to the Texas Death Match, which is we've seen a lot of really, really good Texas Death Matches before. The best one that I can think of on the top of my head has to go to James Storm and Chris Harris in TNA in 07. 07 or 06. I think it was around that time. I do remember it was at a Slammiversary pay-per-view. They had to... I do believe it was 07. It came after Lockdown because they had an atrocious match at Lockdown, and they had to have a better match than that, and they fucking stole the show. So, yeah, but the concept of it is stupid, because you have to pin a guy, then wait a couple of seconds, and then the ref starts a 10 count. How stupid is that? It's just, it takes too much it takes you, too much valuable time out of the match, and really fucks up the flow. I think it's something that should be taken away. A last man standing match is more than it does more for a match like this than having a pinfall and then a count of 10. It's just stupid. Just take that away. Just have a last man standing match. You don't need a Texas Death Match. Number 5 goes to King of the Mountain. TNA usually they've had their fair share of stupid matches, but the reason why I wouldn't bring up most of the stupid matches is because they were one and done, and they realized it was a stupid thing, so they only did it once and never did it again. The Last Rites match, they did the reverse battle royal, a fucking reverse cage match, all these stupid things. But they realized their mistakes and never did it again. As for the King of the Mountain, there's been a handful of King of the Mountain matches, and it's such a stupid concept. Like, if you think about it, the way that you win this match is, first you have to pin somebody to be eligible to hang the championship above the ring. and then when you win, you pretty much unhook it again and celebrate with the title, which is just stupid. It's pretty much like a reverse ladder match, and it's a stupid concept. We've seen good King of the Mountain matches, but it's just it doesn't mean that it's not a stupid concept, you know. Fuck, there have been great wars that has been remembered in history, but at the same time they started with such stupid ideologies. So this is no different. It's a stupid concept, but we've seen good matches out of it. Number 4 goes to the Punjabi prison. Yes. I'm a part of the minority that actually enjoys a Punjabi prison match just because it's different, and I enjoy the fact that when Kali was a part of it, and he was actually a part of all of them. Even the recent one, he had something to do with the finish. I like the fact that was it's kind of Kali's signature match, but at the same, and it's weird that he's never won one. Um, so I would say, and it's kind of like with the Buried Alive match, for The Undertaker, he's never really won one. Actually, you know what? He did. He did. 99. I remember that. It was an episode of SmackDown. So anyways, the Punjabi prison match. There's no reason to have it. You've got the Hell in a Cell, okay? And this is just, it's way too complicated for the casual eye. And second, it hinders the audience in actually seeing what's going on. And some people might be like, oh, you can look at the screen. Why the fuck would you buy a ticket to look at the screen for 40 minutes? There's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason for that. So if it was scaled down, if it was much more scaled down, let's say, okay, we take the outer structure, or you know what, you can keep the outer structure and take the inner structure out and let it be the winner is the one that escapes the whole thing. You don't have to have two structures. You either have the one inside, and it's like, okay, you can use the door once and that's it, or else you have to climb to the outside, or you can have the outer structure, which I think would be better because you can have weapons around the ring and make it much more different, than any other match. So you can do that and take away the inner structure just so that people can be able to see what's going on. So, yeah, Punjabi Prison goes to the number 4 spot. Number 3 goes to Ultimate X. I really enjoy the Ultimate X match in TNA. But the problem with the Ultimate X is that you've got a ladder match in TNA. The whole point of having Ultimate X is because you don't want to have a ladder match. It's like, okay, this is our signature match, and yeah. So for a couple of years, they had Ultimate X whenever they wanted to settle an X Division feud. Cool. But then they brought in the ladder match, and it was like, what? And sometimes there was a ladder match and an Ultimate X match in the same night. So, what the fuck? That's like having a cage match and a Hell in a Cell match on the same night. You shouldn't be doing that. No. If you bring up a concept, you shouldn't go backwards to a lesser, a lesser concept. So, the whole point of the Ultimate X is just, it shouldn't be done. Like, if you're gonna have a ladder match, have an Ultimate X match. If you're not gonna have an Ultimate X match, have a ladder match. That's it. Have one or the other. And I would prefer for TNA to go for the Ultimate X match and keep it and not do a ladder match ever again. But since not everybody can work an Ultimate X match, you've got older guys, you've got guys who have beat up bodies, or heavier guys. So just do a ladder match. Now just ditch the whole Ultimate X thing. So yeah, number 2, it goes to the Texas Bull Rope match or the chain match. Those two things are kind of the same because there were matches that both of them were contested the same way, where you have to tap in each corner, and it's just a weird match. It's such a weird concept. The only time that I thought it was a good match was you have to go all the way back to '96, where you had Stone Cold Steve Austin going up against Savio Vega in Your House, Beware of Dog, Part 2. Because Part 1, they had a match, and it was actually a strap match, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was a strap match. And the whole point of it, you have to tap all four corners. And it was a great match. The first time they had it, the power shut off because there was a storm going on at the time, so they had to redo the match 2 days later, in Beware of Dog Part 2. And it was a great match. It was an awesome match. Another match that was in the same vein of that is probably Eddie Guerrero and JBL at Great American Bash 2004. It was another good match, but at the same time, it's a concept that it's too video gamey. It's too much of a video game, and you can tell it's a stupid idea since this concept was never used in a video game ever. Even video games thought it was too hokey, so why even have it? The last time we saw a match of this, like that was that kind of match where you have to tap all four corners. You have to go back to, I think, 2010 with Shad and JTG at Extreme Rules, and that was an unnecessary match. So, and also in 2009, I think, yeah, you had Punk and Umaga. So it's not a match that you really need. You don't need that match. You can take it away. You can just let it be a regular match. Let it be them going one-on-one, and let them be strapped with a belt or some sort, and let it be kind of like a dog collar match, and that's it. You don't need to make it into you have to tap all four corners, because now you're getting really hokey. Like, imagine if you see that in soccer, where they add a new match, like, oh, we're gonna have a soccer match inside a steel cage. It's like, what the fuck? No, come on, just let it be simple. I do think that every match should always end in a pinfall or submission. It doesn't matter what it is, except for the ladder match. The ladder match itself is fine, where you have to retrieve the championship. Okay, cool. It's simple. It's about somebody that gets the title. Cool. But most most matches, I do think that there are exceptions, but most of the time it should always end in a pinfall or submission. It's like in boxing, where you would win via TKO, or via KO, or via ref stoppage or something like that. So it's that's how they should always go with. And number one, anything on a pole, anything. I don't care what it is. It's such a stupid idea. It's so stupid. Pink slip on a pole, fucking pinata on a pole, pinata, fucking stupid. Singapore cane on a pole, a weapon on a pole. It's so stupid, because okay, you have to go up there and get the weapon, and then you get to beat the shit out of your opponent. Okay. I remember that actually happening once, and then the other person retrieved it from the other, the person that got that weapon from the top and did all the work, and got their asses kicked, and then they won the match. It's so stupid. It's a stupid concept. You shouldn't be doing that. And one of my favorite matches that ever consisted in a weapon on a pole. And it was so bad it was good. It was so bad it was awesome. Is you have to go back to Extreme Rules 2008. You had Big Show versus Tommy Dreamer versus John Morrison versus The Miz versus Chavo Guerrero versus, I think, CM Punk as well. And it was the winner, becomes number one contender for the ECW title. And you had in all four corners, you had Singapore Canes. Yet on the outside, you had a trash can that was filled with Singapore canes. It was so stupid. I don't understand why they did that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that to anybody to check that out because it was so stupid, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun checking it out. So yeah, those are my top 10 most unnecessary / stupid concepts in wrestling. And check out next week in Top 10 Tuesdays where I'll be ranking my favorite, my top 10 favorite TLC matches. Mainly because TLC is this Sunday, and I will be reviewing it once it's done. And who knows? Maybe a match or two on that show is going to be eligible for the top 10. So we'll see. So until then, rate, comment, favorite, please subscribe, and check out my next video. I'll be talking about something else.